limiting your greatest asset, which is your mind, your drive, your ambition, your motivation, your determination to go out and take this business further is trapped on that lawnmower, because you've got to do the grind to create the results.
Alright, so we're here with Dirt Monkey. You guys know him, there's no way you don't know him. So the channel's Lawn Care Juggernaut, and this guy is a true juggernaut. In the very beginning of your business, one of your videos that I really enjoyed is where you were actually talking about sleeping in your truck and you were super broke.
Yeah.
My kind of theme with a few videos that I've made with some of the other guys is for the guys in the beginning of stage of business,
Okay.
going into winter, and then kind of how you're going to come out and benefit most from it.
The seasonal nature of bidding and estimating. So it's a cycle. So at least where I'm at, everything is a big cycle. And let's back this thing up just a bit, Kevin. So what Kevin's referring to is when I started, I was doing trucking, I was doing excavating, dirt work. I was broke. I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. I mean, and that was like the literal term, because I would sleep in my dump truck for a few hours at night. It was an old dump truck. It would be broke down, so it would be getting repaired, and then I would be back up by 5 o'clock the next morning. That was just status quo, no big deal. Yeah. But for the guys that are out there surviving, the winter is always the leanest times, right? And so I actually plan my entire business around the winter, my entire season around the winter. And if I figure if I can come up with a business model that makes money in winter, I can then naturally translate that to making money spring, summer, and fall as well. So for me, you'll see that I will buy everything and do everything designed around winter, even though it's technically supposed to be a downturn. I hire more guys in the winter time. I have all my equipment purchased and ready to go to optimize so that I can continue to work during the winter. And I'm fortunate by being in the hardscaping game where I can, buy a skid loader. I got to put a heated cab on it. I got to put a door on it. I got to buy an extra loader or a pickup truck. I just buy a heavier duty one that I can mount plows on it. But I'm also this is part of what I do, how I plan it. It's a strategy. So winter is where I take it very, very hardcore, where if I can make it in the winter, I know I can make it spring, summer, and fall. So that's the way I actually live, and so that's what I want these guys to do too, because talking about the seasonal nature of bidding and estimating, I got a little ahead of myself. So the seasonal nature of bidding and estimating means everybody is going to be hungriest in the spring, okay? They've had a long winter, they're lean, they're going to be more aggressive on their bids. Being more aggressive on their bids means they're just basically doing the same work for cheaper, right?
Gotcha.
And so you got to survive a whole year putting up with it. So in the very beginning, you're going to be matching their price. But let's say we have a job and it costs $1,000 in the spring, right? So March, April, May, you're going to bid it at $1,000 because everybody else is. They're going to start to get filled up. You may get the job, you may not get the job. It just depends on how well you separate yourself from everybody else bidding that job at $1,000. But come June, July, and August, your phone's going to ring a little less. The other guys are going to get a little busier. They're not going to respond as well. So when your phone does ring, it's hypercritical that you go out and answer it, respond to that call. But the bonus that you're going to get as a contractor is you're going to be able to then charge $1,100 or $1,200 for the same job that just a few months earlier you could charge $1,000 for. It's the law of supply and demand. Okay? There's less contractors responding, and you have hopefully booked up enough work that right now you don't need every single job every time the phone rings. You can start to cherry pick those jobs. You can start to pick the best ones out of it. Now in the fall, you're going to get an uptick again. Your phone should start to ring a little more, not as much as in the spring, but a little bit more than this weird lull that we always have. This is the seasonal nature of bidding and estimating. And once you understand this cycle, a few years down the road, this is going to totally change how you handle your business. In the late fall, you can bid the same job that was $1,000 in the spring, $1,100 June, July, midsummer. Late fall, you can bid at $1,200, $1,300. You can command a premium price, 20, 30% more. You're not changing the work. You're not doing anything else. But every Tom, Dick, and Harry, those guys are way too busy to answer the phone. And their screw up is where you guys and we're going to all absolutely benefit our business. We're going to take that and run with it. Our phone's not going to ring as often, but when it does ring, the customers are going to be desperate. They're going to be like, oh my God, I can't find a contractor. And you guys, you're going to hear them actually lead the conversation with this at times. It's going to be beautiful because all you hear is dollar bills, right? I'm being honest, right? So they're going to, I can't find a contractor to help me out. But in your head, you're thinking, I'll help you out for $1,300 instead of $1,000. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go into aggressive mode in the fall. You're going to aggressively pursue your marketing. You're going to amp up your marketing dollars. Everybody else is going to be like, oh, I'm too busy to go out and bid jobs. You're going to be like, yeah. And then you're going to bid all of this work at $1,300 and you're going to overbid. You're going to bid way too many jobs than you could ever possibly take on. And you're going to spill that over into the next spring. So now this is what I call the fat season. Okay? This is where you're making your absolute most money. But then you're going to get a whole bunch of that and do that in the spring. And all these guys are hungry, and they're bidding, and they're fighting for every scrap. And you're living high off, my dad called it living high off the hog. You're living off the finest meat of the land, the fat from the fall before. And that's going to carry you through those lean times. And you're going to let all those hungry dogs fight for the scraps while you ride high. You got profits. You're still going to go out and you're going to bid as aggressive as you can. You're going to market. If you've got this is the way I did it. I had a $500,000 company at the time, but I marketed it. My marketing budget was for a $2 million company, meaning I was taking on tons of jobs, getting all of these opportunities coming in, and I was bidding high, always bidding high, because then my close ratio would drop. But when I did land the job, my profits would be way higher. And so that's how this entire seasonal nature takes a year to establish this. But once you establish it, can you guys see how your profits are automatically going to be 30% higher than they were in the spring? Absolutely, roughly. And so that's how you do it. So every job, Kevin, that I start in the spring was bid the fall before, the summer before, or even the spring before that. Or I've got jobs that have waited 2 years, bid literally 2 spring before that. And you just keep them grinding as long as you can.
Yeah, I thought that was a real good point that you had, bidding, 6, 12, even 18 and 24 months out.
Yep.
So, for me with the lawn business, smoothing that out, you get real hungry in the spring and you have opportunity for fence line cleanings and all this stuff that your clients want to send your way, and your initial reaction when you're broke is to go, okay, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it cheap, like you said, and didn't lean. And from experience, the best thing for me is to actually step back, focus on my main revenue source and boosting that, and then bidding that stuff out for the winter when I know I'm going to be, not busy at all. And for me, that's helping me eliminate my off season. So last winter, I went, I don't want to do this again. I mean, I've done that for years, but it really hit, and I'm like, I'm not doing it again. And I boosted myself up and started building a plan last winter for this year. And now I'm seeing the results going into winter, and I've already got 7,000 or 8,000 ready for January. February is about the same, and I'm really surprised because January and February before last year were zeros. There was no revenue in January or February. So being able to plan and book it out further is helping me.
So you have a 7,000 to 8,000% increase in your revenue.
Yeah, it's amazing.
0 to 7,000 is awesome.
Well, the other thing is I'm trying to eliminate my off season so that I can have employees almost year round.
Yep.
And one of the things I did there was try to find ways to extend the season on both ends, so that I can eliminate it down to a week or two. Mm-hmm. And if we take time off, we take time off, or we don't get much snow. It's
and Christmas lights.
Rare. Yeah, Christmas lights are actually a really good one around there. I did that with my mother-in-law. I gotta say, it is so brutal as the guy that's actually hanging them.
It's terrible work, but it's profitable.
I have a buddy that does it, and he makes very good money doing it. So that may be something that we actually get into down the line. Where at my current stage, I'm stuck in the leaves. So I've got leaf cleanups, and I'm fighting for time.
Everybody's stuck in the leaves right now, and they're all fighting the weather.
Yeah.
And that just shows that they're not ready.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get caught with your pants down. I mean, it is what it is. But if you know that there is a chance for Mother Nature to turn on you have to be proactive and not reactive and go, all right, I'm going to get all my cleanups done by this day. Even though half the leaves are still on the trees, you've got to disclose to your customers. When you disclose to your customers, hey, come after this date, we can have snow on the ground, and if there's snow on the ground, there's going to be an additional surcharge for your leaf cleanup.
Yeah.
Or we could do it before this date, but there might be leaves in the air, in the sky, in the tree, and they haven't fallen yet, and so if we have to come back to do a second cleanup, well, we got to charge you for that. Which would you like, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Because now you've just transferred the level of responsibility from you to them. Whatever decision they make, because it's their pocketbook that gets affected. So let's let them control their expenses, but let's give them the information to make the right decision.
So, real quick, regional differences. I forget Stan's so far north. In my area, where we go all the way until like Christmas with leaf cleanup. It keeps me busy there, but so it's kind of one or the other.
Okay.
Because Christmas lights are really starting to hang September, October, going all the way into November. But yes, something I definitely want to add in down the road, especially as we bring employees back into our business. We started a painting business as well, so some of my revenue this winter is going to be from the painting business. I'm hoping that cross-training, finding some different niches. I know you talked about
strategic diversification.
Yes, correct.
And so strategic diversification is a very complex way of saying the jack of all trades, master of two. You're strategically diversifying your specialties within your business. And this is important because you've got to be able to handle everything that's within inside your industry, but you need to be the absolute rock star at, I say two things. Not one thing, but two things, because it's weird. The cyclical nature of business extends over to the cyclical nature of when jobs come in. Like I'll have a boulder, like I can build boulder walls all day and night. Am I the best at it? No. But I'm pretty darn good. We've got it nailed. That's the jack of all trades, right? I can grade a yard. I can go out and demolish a house. The two things that I'm best at is removing swimming pools. It's not glamorous. It's already a hole in the ground. So why did I choose removing swimming pools? Because it's fun. It's easy. Nothing can fall down on top of me. Like I've demoed buildings like this before and I always worried, if this structure, as I knock down these three walls, doesn't go right, it can fall backwards on my operator. But a hole in the ground's already a hole in the ground. Don't tip the excavator over into the hole, dummy. I mean, it is like, I say that with the, a little tongue-in-cheek, and I call my guys that. Well, actually, I do call my guys that, but right to their face, and make sure that they know that there's a smile coming on the other end of it. And the other thing is retaining walls. So I've got this minor niche, and then I got this major niche. And so removing swimming pools means I don't have a ton of competition. But building retaining walls, which is my other specialty, means I got a lot of people that build retaining walls. So it's going to be harder for me to dominate and become the best in the world at building retaining walls. And I say that with a grain of salt, best in the world, but really what I'm saying is I want to be one of the best, plain and simple, in my area, right? But it's going to be way harder for me to dominate this. So I picked those two niches very strategically. I can remove swimming pools, I'll dominate it fast. I'll create the process that removes them so that as I go in from one to the next, to the next, to the next, it's a system. My guys do the exact same steps over and over every single time. I don't have to even explain to it. I just have to give them an address. There's a swimming pool. See you in 3.5 days. That gives me 3.5 days to go line up the next swimming pool for them. Retaining walls are a little different, but can you see how you've got to be able to do everything, but you got to do two things better than anyone. But my two things are related. They require the same equipment. They require the same skill set. the ability to operate, the ability to know dirt work, the ability to do this. So I haven't picked two things that are so far spread, like mowing lawns and painting, that I worry about crossover skills not applying.
Yeah.
Just something to take, I want you guys to think a little bit ahead. Are my guys gonna kick back and go, why are we painting? I'm not a painter, I'm a lawnmower. Because your guys will start to think along those lines. They start to identify themselves as what their industry is, and so when they start to go back and forth, they get a little bit confused. At least I've seen that and talked to guys that say, I don't like the fact that we paint. I hate that time when we're painting. I'm just using
No,
it as an
absolutely.
example, but I mean,
I
it is
actually
what
had
it
the
is.
reverse thing happen this year. For
Okay.
everybody that I started it because he was real good at painting. And I was like, cool, let's just fire this up. And he didn't like the mowing side. And I'm like, well, I got to do the mowing because that's fueling the painting. So yeah, we got the reverse going this year on that.
Okay, so you have experienced it though.
Yes.
Okay.
I've already seen the
Okay.
issues with it.
Yep.
So we're hoping to do, going in this year, we're going to hire some guys. We were able to get the equipment to get a box truck and everything to do the jobs. I'm hoping to remove myself from the production immediately on that, scale up the lawn side still, and keep that going. So 4 days a week of lawns, I do residential 20 a day, and I'm just going to scale it up to 80.
So,
And
how much do you pay your lead guy to mow for you?
so mowing, I do myself with somebody else. Generally, somebody else with me in the truck, about $12 an hour.
Okay.
And then the painting guy, I was paying him 20 an hour. So, when he switched back, that's part of it. I'm like, well, I'm not really built in for paying you 20 an hour to mow lawns with me. But
So there's a lot of solopreneurs, just like yourself,
yes,
and they're like, I'm out doing about 20 lawns.
yeah,
The reason I asked you how much you paid your guy is who's going to replace you? How much are you going to pay that guy to replace you?
probably somewhere around 17 to 20. For
You're
sure.
worth more than that.
Absolutely. So
You are worth more than that.
if I'm out selling, I guarantee I can generate more revenue. from
Okay,
business.
so you're paying yourself $17 an hour while you're not paying yourself all the extra money that you could be making selling extra jobs.
Yeah.
Because whatever you could pay the person you could pay the least to replace you is literally what you're paying yourself at that point. And so you're paying yourself $17 an hour while you're limiting your greatest asset, which is your mind, your drive, your ambition, your motivation, your determination to go out and take this business further is trapped on that lawnmower, because you've got to do the grind to create the results. Okay? So go hire somebody for $17 an hour and go get an extra 40, 60, 80 lawns or whatever you can, and get better lawns and get more expensive lawns and start to grow your business and free yourself. And stop paying yourself $17 an hour and pay yourself whatever you can make being a salesperson. But take that risk, because you are your greatest asset and you are limiting your greatest asset.
Yeah, I'm caught in the trap.
Yep,
So-
so are these guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing it now because we're going into our 7th year, and my body is starting to get physically damaged from the work, and just beating myself up, using the wrong equipment, doing it the wrong way for a long time. So I've got all that damage. So now I'm looking at it and I got to go. I have to make drastic changes, and I got to do it quick. Going into the employees,
Okay.
you said you hire in the winter. That's the time we're coming into, so that would be definitely what we're wanting to look at. How do you go about not only advertising for those employees, maybe structuring your ads or qualifying questions? What are some things that can help bringing on your rock star type people, the people you're targeting?
Everybody. Everybody. You guys know anybody that lives in Minnesota that wants to work? Do you guys live in Minnesota and want to work? Contact me because I need help. Everybody everywhere knows somebody that may want a job. Okay? I hire based on character. So for me, they don't have to have the high skill set. They have to have a high level of character. And then I'm going to invest. I look at them. I look at new people coming in like a major investment in my time, right? Because if they've got amazing character, I'll be willing to give them the skills that translate down to paying my bills down the road, because I'll be able to believe in them. I look for individuals that I can completely and utterly trust. It has bit me more than once. It's been best, but that's the way I choose to lead my life. Okay? And so what that means is I bring a person in, I say, no, there's no time clock, there's no, you don't punch in, you don't punch out. I got to be able to believe what you're saying and doing, right? And so you go start this job at 8 o'clock. I'm not going to be there to babysit you. If you leave at 5 o'clock, let me know. Make sure that if you're working on a crew that that's an agreed upon time. I'm not here to micromanage you. And so some guys love that and thrive under that independence, while other guys go, I need a 40-hour work week. I need structure. I need to know that I start at 7 and I go to the ABC store every single morning, and then I punch out. And my lunch is, I got my break from 9 to 9:15, and I got my lunch from 12 to 12:30, and then I'm out at 5 o'clock and I turn my mind off. Other guys need the structure, while some guys can't have it. So you got to look. You got to be able to make sure that before you invest, you got a right person that's ready for however you run your company. I don't care how you run your company. Put the time clock in if that's the way you do it. I'm just telling you how I do it. And to find those individuals is tough. But when I find the character, the spark that's telling me that this is a person, and little things like, hey, where did you work last time? Well, I worked at the feed store from June to the July. Before that, I was at Wendy's from April to May. And then, if they've been at 3 places in the last 6 months, your place 4 and then place 5, 6, and 7 are coming up down the line. I'm not going to invest them. But if they say, well, I've been at this place for 7 years and I got to give them 2 weeks notice, it's like, here to keep her. You've been one place for 7 years and you won't leave without giving them proper notice. Tells me that's the first indicator that this dude's got character or this gal's got character.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just, we can't be so darn picky that, they've got to have character and skill and know how to do this. It already come with all this unless you're willing to pay a pretty premium penny and to put up with their preconceived notions on the way things should happen, which may have been great for the company that they worked for before, but may not be the way that you operate, I operate, or these guys operate, right? And so what I see is a lot of guys coming in with a certain high level of skills, and then, oh no, everything's got to be my way or the highway. And it's like, that's okay if we're still working at your old place, but here's how I run things. And so you just got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah. I know you got to get out of here. I'm looking forward to possibly doing this in the future with drastic changes in my business.
Awesome.
Thank you for taking the time.
All right, Kevin, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. It's awesome. It's been an awesome ride for the last few years, especially having you guys along for it. So I really thank you for that. So hope this stuff has helped you out. Do you mind if I say this? If it has, put it in the comments down below. What was like the best, most important thing? The reason I ask you to do that is because other people watching along in the video will pull the wisdom nuggets out. And I think if we all share wisdom nuggets, we all can raise our prices, we can all become better contractors, we can all live a better life together, not at the expense of each other, but while we all work together to build each other up. Because if you're charging $40 a yard and I'm charging $30 a yard, I win, you lose, right? But I'm technically losing because I'm getting paid $10 less a yard. We're both charging $40 a yard because we understand how that works. You get half, I get half, we both win. We're both getting more money, we both got work. That's all I got, guys. Kevin, have a good one. Thanks, you guys.